A new theater festival is set to take the stage at the Prairie Theatre Exchange this weekend. The Kiyanaan Indigenous Theatre Festival is being presented by Echo Theatre, which is PTE's company in residence. It promises 2 full days of programming meant for all audiences, young and old, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, performers and artists of all stripes, to explore opportunities for Indigenous storytelling and to provide opportunities for the next generation of creatives. Charlene van Beukenhout is the artistic director of the Kiyanaan Festival and Echo Theatre, and one of the performers in the festival as well. She joins us in the Classic 107 studios this morning. Hello.
Hello.
How are you sitting and not falling over? This sounds like an incredibly busy endeavor.
It is has been quite the journey, and these last couple of weeks have been a real challenge in me attempting not to get sick and also getting enough sleep in order to do all the things that need to be done.
I can only imagine. There's so much to break down with this festival, but first maybe we can start with the name. What does the word Kiyanaan mean, and where does it come from?
Mm-hmm. Kiyanaan is a Southern Michif word. When I was learning, I was in a language classes with Heather Suter and Kai Pyle and learning Southern Michif. And one of the things we learn about is relational words like we and you and me and us and what they all mean. And Kiyanaan is the relational word meaning us, and that's an inclusive us. So it's not us over here, us and them. It's all of us together. I just thought that was a beautiful sentiment with what I wanted the vision of the festival to be, is an all-inclusive festival that we can all gather and share with each other our experiences, our stories, and our talents.
So that all-encompassing idea first started for you, I understand, 4 or so years ago, as you were started trying to envision what this festival could be. How has this idea evolved over the last number of years, and what kinds of things can people expect from this new iteration?
Mm-hmm. So the festival was actually brought to me from a friend who we were supposed to do a different project, and one day she came to me and said, and we were right down to we had to submit the grant, and she said, I don't think we should do that. I think we need a festival, an Indigenous theatre festival. And her idea was more playwriting to develop new plays, and so we had been. So anyway, the festival kind of started out just trying to figure out what kind of festival this should be, and I went looking to all different kinds of festivals, and looking for a model, some kind of model, and a lot of places I saw showcases, like taking just a venue where we could showcase theater. But for our community here in Manitoba, what I saw, and over the past 4 years, what I've been noticing, being involved more with the Indigenous projects that have been coming up, and being brought into the rooms as a facilitator or director or in whatever capacity, noticing that a lot of our talent and our shows and our capacity to sustain all of these shows that are being created is low. We have a low capacity because our talent is either leaving to find work, or is not being developed here past an initial beginning stage. And this is in all areas. So in technical areas, in design areas, as well as a playwriting, directing, and acting. And I really thought that a festival could actually help be a place where we can offer support for these shows, because we can't really sustain a showcase. There's no project that's developed enough. I mean, very few projects developed enough to be able to just showcase at a festival. We need to be able to provide support, production support, development support, training and mentorship support in order to develop the talent that is here and to just share our stories together and create these opportunities and these shows and these plays to be able to like actually go to an international and national stage.
It's a very ambitious goal to be able to keep artists here rooted in the community. What has the reception been like from artists here in the community as it relates to this festival, and how do they see the festival helping to facilitate that role of keeping artists and projects here in town?
Well, the people I have spoke to and the response that I've been getting has been really encouraging because, as you're, for me, as I was looking to find a model and create the festival and like find supports and get the money and all this kind of stuff and find the resources, kind of been doing that in my own head and telling people like I'm trying to do a festival and like eventually this will happen and hopefully this and that.
Yeah.
But then when we just announced like, okay, we need performers and okay, like I have money to develop your piece and I have money for this mentorship. All of a sudden I was getting like people just saying, I want to support what's going on. Like I want to either like, I'll be a performer, I'll come and volunteer, I'll come and do this. I just want to see it happen. And that felt really good to me. It was like, okay, people want this. And I'm hoping that to create a place where we incorporate everyone's ideas so that we keep it a festival that people want. An
amazing sign that you're on the right track and that other people share the sentiment of wanting to keep talent and projects and ideas here in the city. Okay, let's get down to some brass tacks here, shall we? What can people expect over the 2 days of the festival?
Okay, so it's jam-packed, even though it's it has been scaled down. I have a co-producer who helped me scale all my giant ideas down to like an actual manageable 2-day festival. So we start off with our opening ceremony where everyone is invited to come. There'll be drumming by Mishkere Bijike Anishinaabe group led by Valvint and some beautiful dancers who are coming to join us, who are all siblings, I believe, and it'll be very sweet. I think they're quite young, and so it'll be lovely to watch their fancy shawl and jingle dress dancing. We have a prayer with Barb Niepenak and a community smudge. So that starts off the festival in a really good way, I hope. And then that's kind of like in the early afternoon, noon, like 11 o'clock. And then we have this lovely flow. So people can go on a backstage tour of Prairie Theatre Exchange, go through the shop. Like they actually have a carpentry shop where they build sets and give a tour of the theater and what it looks like and backstage and get kind of like involved with what the area is, what the landscape is of the theater there. And then we jump into my kids show. So the model of the festival is like an Anishinaabe medicine wheel. So there's something for kids. There's Youth Emerging Voices to show us where we're going in theater. And then there's an adult contemporary pieces to show us where we are. And then we have our elder piece at the end to show us where we came from in Manitoba Indigenous theater. So my kids show is Minushte Kapshio, and that's a Southern Michif kids show. It's all narrated in Southern Michif, but it's okay if you don't know Southern Michif because it's basically a clown piece. It's a silly play about a cat who goes camping and finds a friend in a funny place, and there's jigging and music in it. And it'll just be a fun piece for young kids. It's absolutely fine to bring your children who want to talk to me during the show. I mean, I probably won't talk back, but I will wave at them and be happy to show them my theater set afterwards. They're invited to come on stage and look at all the stuff that I have. Absolutely. And then we move right on to the Youth Emerging Voices piece, which is a reading by Ashley Cook called Gone, She's Gone. And Kiyanaan Festival actually commissioned this with the support of Manitoba Association of Playwrights. And it's a new play, and it's kind of a fantasy-inspired like a quest of these three sisters going on a journey to try to cure their mother of this curse, and that's a really cool piece. And then we have a conversation with Darla Contois. So this is part of Payworks is supporting this this star speaker series. So what we have is Darla coming in to talk about her career in theater and film. So she's a playwright, actor, has a play staged at PTE, so we have costumes that we can show from that piece. But she's also award-winning star of A Little Bird.
Yes.
And so she's going to talk about bridging those careers, because that's really what we need to do as well as theater artists, is be able to be flexible and adaptable and that sort of thing. So she's going to talk about that, and that's really exciting. And then we have a feast, so we're like hopefully feed everybody. And if you're wanting to come, please let me know so we have enough food so you don't actually run out. And then we have a cabaret of all of our performers that are in the city, or who can actually travel here to show us what they got, what they're working on. And
Wow.
We're not asking for finished pieces. We're just saying, what are you doing? Let's share together. Yeah, so we have a cabaret, which is super exciting because there's, to me, like famous people in there. So like Sonia Ballantyne, and then like the square dance group, United Thunder will be there.
Wow.
And we have some drag performers, and Issa Kixon is hosting the night, which I'm really excited about. And so that's Saturday night. And then Sunday morning we have a visioning. It's called Dreaming the Festival. So we're visioning what everybody would like the festival to be. And that includes a conversation with Indigenous artistic directors from across the country. And then we have like an open rehearsal of another play that was in development that Wawate Foster is choreographing and Nova Krushen wrote. And that's going to be just like we watch the process. So we go into the rehearsal hall and we watch them work. And then we have our pre-show chat. We have another feast. Pre-show chat with Ian Ross, who wrote Farewell. So this is our elder piece. And Rosanna Deerchild is going to interview Ian about writing the piece. It's Success Legacy. It's the first piece by an Indigenous person to win the Governor General's Award.
Right.
And made a huge impact here for Indigenous theater in Manitoba. And then we actually get to hear the play, but not after the bingo draw. Not before the bingo draw.
What would we be without the bingo draw?
That's right.
That is so much to offer there in programming from young to old, as we were saying. There's a couple of things I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into, including that reading of Farewell by Ian Ross. What do you think that next generation of performers will take away from hearing such a seminal piece of Indigenous theater?
This is a great question, because it's something I've been thinking about for months and months and months and months. And so this piece is takes the elder place in the festival. And when I think about that, it's from our past, and it has a lot of things it can teach us about where we come from, what it was like in the mid-90s. The piece is a realistic portrayal of life on the res from Ian's perspective. It has a lot of themes that he's working with, colonization tools that are used to disempower people, and they're all in there. And this group of people is sort of dealing with all of them. So it's going to be very interesting, and I hope what people take away from it is questions. Why was it like this? I hope it asks the piece asks questions, and I hope that the audience really hears them. I hope that what people take away is an idea of engaging with our past, bringing it forward, and looking for nuance in these challenging conversations. So I hope that there's a deep engagement with it, that people really hear. It's a beautiful play that that I'm really looking forward to having the original cast be involved with bringing it forward.
Yeah. While Farewell is a piece that provokes questions, maybe one way to look at your performance in the Clowning Kids show is providing answers for what Indigenous theater can look like in the present, in 2024. What informs your artistry in the Kiyanaan Festival, and what do you hope that the children who come to see it will take away from it that maybe is a bit different from what audiences would take away from a reading of Farewell, as an example?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, too. Good job. No,
well, thank you.
Good questions. Yeah, well, I hope they take away that there's lots of different ways to tell stories, lots of different ways to engage with your culture, and that there's joy in language learning as well. So with Southern Michif specifically, it's an endangered Indigenous language. There are, not very many speakers, and it's hard to create them when you don't have a lot of speakers in the community. So I think joy and just stylistically, like, what can we do? I remember I've done this show quite a bit before, and I've done it at conferences, language conferences. I've done it for elders and youth, and I did it in the Fringe a couple of years ago. And when the first time I did it, the lights came down, the lights came up, people clapped, and then the kids just came on the stage. Hadn't invited them. They just, I saw in their eyes this, like, how did you do that? And this one child walked up to me and said, how did you act? And I think the question was, like, I have some magical theater stuff that's in the play, like stuff kind of appears, and there's like some light tricks and shadow puppet play. And I think that they were just like, how do you make all of this? Like, I didn't know this was possible. And I think, like, what I'd like to do is provide that possibility. Like, it's not impossible. Look, you can do all this stuff. And I like to work with kind of slow tech. So there's like some moving panorama stuff in it, shadow puppetry, like just some theater magic. And I think, like, I like to provide that possibility for kids coming to the show.
Yeah. What role do you think Indigenous theater has to preserve stories and language and community moving forward from this first iteration of the Kiyanaan Festival, the first of many? It's something that I would imagine, well, with all the levity that comes with your clown show, there's also maybe a sense of responsibility that comes along with that as well.
Absolutely. Just hitting all the questions I've been thinking about for so long. Yeah, I really hope the festival continues and becomes an annual thing. And I feel a great responsibility and privilege to be able to have it exist and to present it. And it's a big responsibility to hold all of it. So I'm trying to work with an idea of maybe I don't have to hold all of it. Maybe I hold some of it, and that we pass it off. And like I'd love to build a scenario where the festival is being held by more people, and there's more thought and more community involved in holding all of the pieces. And then I forgot the first part of your question. There was like two parts.
Yes. Well, I was wondering about Indigenous theater. What role does theater have specifically as a medium, maybe, to preserve language and stories and community?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful question. So I think theater has a great position in being able to engage with storytelling and language, because it uses that's what it is. Theater story. Theater is life. It's engaging with is what telling our stories is, telling our life experiences. and it uses language, and I think it's well positioned to engage, preserve, but also grow, expand, develop, and keep it alive for community. It's the only way to move our. It's not the only way. It's a great way to move our stories through its culture. It can be dance, it can be song. Theater can carry stories in many ways, and can really move our stories through time, like through the past, into the present, into the future, and really engage with all of it almost at the same time.
Wow. It's all really exciting stuff. Charlene, thank you so much for joining us here in the studios today and telling us more about the Kiyanaan Indigenous Theatre Festival.
Oh, merci. Thank you, Miigwech.